I'm somewhat embarrassed to say that I've been working out for 8 years now, because for about half of that journey, I really had nothing to show for it. You see, I wasted a lot of years in the gym building little to no muscle because I was just making far too many mistakes. Luckily though, I figured out what those mistakes were, and I'm going to share them with you in this video so that you can learn from me and not waste years in the gym building little to no muscle like I did. The first reason that I wasn't building much muscle was simply because I wasn't eating enough. I wasn't giving my body enough nutrition and substance really that it needed to maintain the muscle I wanted to put on. You have to understand that if you want to build muscle, it has to come from something. Muscle can't just come from nothing. And the something that is useful for our body to build muscle with is food and nutrients. So if you're not going to eat enough, you're really not giving your body the chance to build muscle. I always felt like I was eating a lot, but clearly I wasn't. If I look at pictures of myself back then, I was still very skinny and was nowhere near getting fat in any way, shape, or form. So I really wasn't eating that much, and I really should have been pushing myself to eat more. Part of the reason I didn't eat more was a fear of getting fat, but it was also a little bit just because I lived at home and I felt kind of bad in a way, like eating a lot, like eating more than my sort of like fair share, so to speak, when everybody else in my family wasn't really into the gym or anything, so they weren't eating for any kind of, I guess you would say, like bodybuilding pursuit. So it kind of made me a little bit internally insecure about eating too much and again eating more than what I felt like was my fair share. Some of you guys watching this may be able to sort of relate to that, especially if you're like a young teen like I was back then. But again, I just need to reemphasize that you really just need to eat. Eating is, in my opinion, more important than even the training you do, because you can have the best workout, you can perform the best workout, but at the end of the day, the sort of ultimate roadblock to building muscle will be your recovery, and a big part of your recovery is your diet. And simply, it's just, you can kind of analogize it to something like building a building. You can have all the most skilled like construction workers to put it together. You can have the most state of the art design or whatever. Like those are kind of like your the engineer can be thought of as your workout plan. The construction workers can be thought of as your actual workout. But at the end of the day, if there's no material to build something with, aka no food to build the muscle with, well, nothing's gonna get built, right? So similar, like muscle works exactly the same way as that analogy. The second reason I didn't build much muscle is also related to diet, but in this case, it's more related to the quality of my diet. I simply wasn't eating the right kinds of foods. I honestly really used to be like just a normie back then. I had no idea what I was doing, and I was just listening to mainstream dietary advice, which is for the most part a lot of BS, even in the fitness space. So I was like avoiding fat because I thought eating fats would make me fat. Whatever amounts of fat I was eating, it was a bunch of seed oils, which is pretty terrible for your body. Apart from that, there's always been sort of the focus on protein in the fitness space, and I was definitely trying to eat a bit more protein, but I still don't think it was enough. It kind of just goes back to the point I made in the first point, where again, living at home, like I didn't want to be kind of like that guy who just like like my mom, whatever, like makes a dish for the whole family, and I just like pick out all the meat in there, and then there's there's just rice left or like basically nothing left. I never wanted to be that guy, so I always kind of like held back on it a little bit, which is definitely something that held me back overall. What I probably should have done is, use some of my own money to buy some food or like buy some more chicken or whatever and make it myself, something like that. But yeah, I definitely wasn't eating as much protein as I should have either. And then last of the macronutrients, we have carbs, and I was simply eating way too many carbs. If you follow my channel nowadays, you'll know that I'm pretty much like against carbs. I think there's really not, I think the science or biology or whatever shows that there's no such thing as an essential carb, and we really don't need to be eating carbs. But back then, I didn't have this kind of knowledge, and if anything, forget even being like low carb or medium carb, I was pretty like high carb, just because I really ascribed to the calorie model, and I just thought kind of like more of a if it fits your macros approach, where if you hit your protein, you can basically, and you get a little bit of fat, just fill the rest with carbs, right? So that's in essence what I was doing. Whenever I would try and bulk and try and eat more, that really just meant eating more carbs, because again, even when it comes to the family point, that was something that was easy to do. You don't want to be that guy who's like picking out the beef or the chicken from whatever dish your mom made, but it's always okay to like take more rice or take more bread or whatever. But at the end of the day, that really wasn't helping me in any way, and honestly, if anything, it was probably just making my results worse. It was probably inflaming me, inflaming my body. It was definitely making me pack on more fat than I needed to be, and it kind of led me to having like a skinny fat physique, even though I was going to the gym at the time. The next mistake that was holding me back from building much muscle finally takes us to the gym. And this was not tracking my workouts. I was actually pretty consistent at going to the gym when I first started working out, but the problem was that I really had no plan. I had a bit of a workout plan and I would do it, but I really didn't understand the importance of progressive overload, which sounds kind of stupid to say. I think like subconsciously I knew it. Subconsciously I knew like, yeah, I need to be getting stronger, but I didn't actually have a plan to basically know that I'm actually doing that. And I feel like a lot of people spend years going to the gym just like I did without tracking their workouts, and it's really so stupid. Now when I introduce somebody to the gym, that's like one of the first things I tell them, because it really is so important. You want to be able to track your workouts so that you can see workout after workout, week after week, if you are getting stronger or not. Because if you are getting stronger, you will be building muscle. And if you're not getting stronger, well, you're probably not building muscle. So it's super important, and I can't believe that I wasn't doing it for so long. I was just going to the gym and doing what felt good, but what feels good in the moment isn't necessarily getting you good results. I kind of cringe when I think back to it, but like I just remember trying to remember everything in my head. Like I remember approaching one of the lat pull down machines and being like, oh yeah, I normally do like 120, so I put up 120 in it, and then I don't know, maybe I did like 10 or 12 reps or whatever, and I'm like trying to remember that. But right now I'm trying to remember it, but there's no way that I remember, like I didn't remember what I did last week on the same 120 on the lat pull down. So really, what's the point? By the same time next week, I will have forgotten how many reps I did this time too. So you really need somewhere to write it down. What would have just happened there was that, let's just say I did like 12 reps. Well, I was doing 120 pounds on the lat pull down for 12 reps, like week after week, probably month after month, and I wasn't progressing in any way. And then is it really any surprise that I wasn't building much muscle? I just looked the same, even though I had been going to the gym for a few months. The last mistake that was holding me back from building much muscle was simply that I didn't really have a solid routine. I was kind of just winging it and had no idea really what I was doing. When I first started working out, I had a sort of a 6-day-a-week workout split where I would do 3 consecutive days really of a chest day, a chest and triceps day, a shoulder day, and then a back and biceps day, and then I would take a day of rest, and then I would do those 3 days again. And I mean, whatever, it works at like for like your first few months, but eventually I definitely should have moved on from that, but for a long time I didn't, and I was just doing workouts like a workout split like that, and even going beyond that, like maybe even that workout split could still work, but I really had no understanding either of like, volume, intensity, those kinds of things. I really overall just didn't know what I was doing, but thankfully over time I figured that stuff out, and I came to full body workouts, which in my opinion are the most superior split for building the most muscle, and really they're just the most balanced split for maximizing your gains while also maximizing your recovery, and also just fitting it into a regular life. Since you clicked on this video, there's a good chance that you're probably suffering from the same mistakes that I was making when I first started working out. It might be related to some of the diet stuff, firstly, not really knowing what the right kinds of foods are to eat and in what quantities you should be eating them. Or it could be the training related stuff where you just really don't have a solid plan overall. You don't have a good workout split, and you also don't really understand the intricacies of training, like intensity, volume, how much rest you should take, stuff like that. But good thing for you is if you are suffering from these same mistakes as me, you can subscribe to this channel, and I give a lot of free tips, but you can also visit the link in my description, and there you can find my 65,000 word ebook that is really just a guide to fix all of these issues. Like I said, I've been training for 8 years, and in that time, I've really figured out what works and what doesn't. I've done a lot of research, and all of that research and experience I've put into that book. So really, if you want to save time, which you probably want to, it would be a good investment to learn from someone like me who has 8 years in the game, who's done a lot of and made a lot of mistakes, and learn from them before you make them yourself and repeat them. You can use the coupon code on the screen, FIRST5, to get the book for just $5. But this coupon code is called FIRST5 because it's only for the first person who purchases the book. So you might have to act a little bit fast to make sure that that offer is not gone. Anyways, thanks for watching. Bye.